Appreciate you guys tuning in, man. We got another week of Texans football. I know this one's kind of a little more stressful than what we had liked for it to have been. We're definitely been stressing. That was a tough loss to the Lions. So, we'll do our same show here. Kind of shoot with the chat, just go back and forth for a bit, and then we can go over the game. Hopefully, not in too much detail because it was a little stressful. But no, we can go over the game and then preview the Cowboys game. So, I mean, we got a good opportunity to bounce back here. Shout out Mr. Optimistic. Appreciate you, my guy. He actually wrote his weekly Silver Linings article. I need to post it on the site here, hopefully tonight or in the morning. So that's crazy. I got two people on IG chat, ATX Adrian Blessing, and then another guy, ATX Adrian, said, "No way you copied my name." That's crazy. A lot of Adrians in Houston, huh? Regardless, H-Town, baby. But, yeah, I mean, it was a tough loss. I know everyone's stressing about it. I'm sure the sting is wore off. I realized that I should definitely wait to tweet certain things until after the emotions have gone away. But being at the game myself with the environment, with how crazy it was, like the energy, defense was just swarming. Like they were all over the field. The crowd was definitely into it. And, Goff is throwing picks left and right. We think they get back into it. They throw more picks. And so, I mean, you thought you had it under control, but in the back of your mind, we know the Houston Stressans, that definitely they would enter the chat and find a way to make it tougher than what it needed to be. I never thought we would end up losing the game, so I was definitely shocked. But yeah, leaving the game, I mean, you walk away with, you get stuck on the 5 interceptions and still losing. And so, you feel like there's no way any team should ever lose a game when you get 5 interceptions. But again, after you sleep on it and look into it a little bit, I mean, we definitely should have won the game, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't seem as bad when you have time to think about it and dive into it. The interceptions in particular, yes, there was 5 interceptions, but it doesn't really tell the whole story. Obviously, there was one that was Hail Mary, which was just, that doesn't even count. So it's 4 after that. One of those other ones was essentially a punt. It was like a 40, 50-yard interception that we caught on the 20. So, that's still an interception, but it's not, it's kind of misleading as far as the impact on the game. And then another interception, too, was just a terrible break. The one with Kamari Lassiter was just unreal. Called a touchback initially, reviewed. I didn't watch the broadcast, but from what I heard, they said that his forward progress, he hit his knee on the 1, fell back in the end zone, was touched there. So his forward progress stopped at the 1. And so that interception, we got the ball on the 1. We didn't get much to do with it. And that specific play, I think, cost us 7 points because now you're on the 1, and it's basically a throwaway drive, run. I think we threw it, but basically you're not going to get out of that hole, punt the ball. They get the ball at midfield, and they drive right back down the field. So that was an extremely tough break. So, yeah, when you look at it from that perspective, it's not as bad. And then, but this is, one of the first times that I've felt frustrated with Bobby Slowick. Obviously, the first half was great. But again, the second half, I mean, I forget even all the stats and numbers, but, 0 points in X amount of games or 0 touchdowns, whatever it is, it's not good. And, it's for a litany of reasons. It's not just one thing. It's, pass protection. It's run game. It's CJ missing throws, receivers messing up, dropping passes, or tight ends dropping passes. It's everybody all across the board. So it's just very frustrating. Over here on IG, we got Dom says D'Amico's DNA is all over the defense and the culture of the team. The OC doesn't seem to be a culture fit at this time. Man, so Dom, I made a tweet about that on X, and I said, this is just me speculating here, but basically what you said, D'Amico strikes me as like a fiery coach with energy, and he has no problem lighting a fire under any players if they're, messing up or whatever, to let them know. But I am just speculating. Like I feel like you don't get that same kind of fire and energy and aggressiveness from Slowick. I just don't envision him being that kind of guy. I get that most OCs aren't like that, but with all the problems we've seen on offense that just continue to happen week after week after week, you sit back and you think, why do they continue to happen? Like, well, maybe they're messing up, and when they mess up, they're just not held accountable. Like they're just in film, like, hey man, don't do that. Like I just don't see him like getting after somebody and chewing somebody out. I definitely see D'Amico doing that. So that's an assumption, but to Dom's point, I mean, it kind of it shows. So, like what he said, the defense embodies what D'Amico is, and the offense is embodying what Slowick is. Just so whatever, it's a fine type thing. And again, it's speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of what it is. But Dom also says on IG, the defense has a dog mentality as a unit. The offense is 11 different pieces working separately. I mean, that's another great point, especially the O-line. I mean, yeah, the whole thing. It's just no one's in unison. No one's ever on the same page at the same time. At least one person's always messing up. And it's always a bunch of little things. Oh, we'll get it fixed, little thing. But if you got 1,000 little things, it's not as easy as just, flipping a switch. It's a fundamentally flawed issue. Lump Dog right here says free Gerard Johnson. Gerard's actually my friend. I've worked out with him after college. I haven't kept up with him too much because he's been busy, but yeah, I mean, I would love for him to get a shot. It just the position we're in with Slowick. Again, like I've been a defender the whole time, and I still think we're fine with him. It's just frustration's at an all-time high, but I think the play calling isn't as bad as a lot of us think. I think he can still call good plays. I think it's more so the sequencing or the order of the plays, he becomes too predictable. I mean, it's been evident, like when we're watching it as fans, we know what's coming. You hear other players say things after the game. Oh, we saw this on film and expected that. That's what my big gripe would be. And then the conservativeness too, which I think kind of boils down from D'Amico, but in the one big thing is like adjustments. Like for example, in this Lions game, I understand you're a Shanahan scheme and you got to establish the run, but at a certain point, like when you're not getting anything working, if your O line is just a big mismatch against their D line, you got to adapt. I mean, you look at Cincinnati that Thursday night against Baltimore. And really, they've been doing it the past 2-3 weeks. Their run game's been non-existent. So rather than continue to beat a dead horse and try to make it work, they, changed their run game. Their run game is now screens. Chase Brown's catching screens left and right. Receiver screens, which I guess they run effective, which we don't. But I think you gotta adapt in game. You can't just say this is my game plan, my game script. I'm gonna stick with it no matter what. I mean, not that he's doing that, but it feels that way. Shout out Marcus Wiley on IG. I appreciate you, bro. He says we need to get stuff together. I agree. He says, I say let Chase call plays. R.J. Johnson. Yeah, so I think he says Gerard Johnson call plays. It's just tough. I mean, and D'Amico said today too, or yesterday, he was asked about the play calling, what all goes into it. He did say that, basically all the people on the offensive staff are involved in the game planning and play calling is the way he made it sound, and he said including himself. But yeah, I mean, we're in a tough spot. I mean, like you hate to say it, and what they're going to say is, things will get better with Nico, but it's true. I mean, you look at our schedule without Nico, he was out 5 games. We lost 3 of those 5 games. One of them we won was against New England. And then if you go back to Buffalo, if he was in that game probably wouldn't be close, but it becomes close without him in it. But yeah, so, 2 and 3 without Nico. 1 was against New England, which our defense basically won the game for us. So offense was just short fields. And then Indy won 23-20, just kind of gutted it out. So, Nico definitely is a big factor. Like I know we don't want to hear it, and I do suspect that the offense will be a lot better with Nico. You can't really blame CJ or Slowick, like anybody without. The thing about Nico too, he's not just like a receiver. Like he's an elite receiver, so he's going to make any offense infinitely better. he takes a lot of pressure off of everybody, the play caller, the O-line, the quarterback. For CJ Stroud, if you have Nico Collins, you now have someone, when worse comes to worse, you can pretty much look his way every time, no matter what. Even if the coverage is designed to take away his route, he'll still find a way to win, which is unique as hell. But I think the biggest thing we've missed him in, given that our O-line has been so bad and that CJ's on the run 24/7 in these scramble drills, is the scramble drill. And it was evident on Sunday night. CJ, it was just, you couldn't tell us how many times he scrambled and that he couldn't find a receiver. So that now, usually he's used to scrambling and he just immediately looks for Nico and he knows Nico's going to get open. Not only is he, a freak athlete, fast, quick, big, tall, strong, but he's also very smart and intuitive. He knows where to break on those. And he's a big body receiver too. So, you can throw him a contested catch and he will come up with it. Dom on IG says, year 2, you're not catching anyone by surprise. I'm still busting on CJ. Yeah, so that's a good point. That's part of it too. Part of it too is expectations. We're at the same place we were last year, which we don't want to be there. So it feels a lot worse than what it is. But to Dom's point, teams were on their radar and it's not really a shock. And people talk about a sophomore slump. I don't think CJ's even close to that. I was starting to say this weeks ago, but the sophomore slump is Bobby Slovic. I think his play calling is not adjusted. What defenses are doing, a lot of the pressure they're getting is they've figured out how to scheme up his offense. Marcus on IG says, at the end of the season, what do you think our record will be? I think we finish out 6-1, so that puts us with 5 losses, 12-5, with a chance for number 2 seed with the bye. I think we win all of our games except the Chiefs, so that would be beating the Ravens at home. I think the Ravens aren't as good as we think, especially their pass defense, which is terrible. And they don't really have a great pass rush this year either. Dom says, did you notice the touch was back on CJ's throws? Yeah, I don't know if I noticed that it was ever gone, but he did have some good throws. And I should point this out too. So CJ obviously did not have a good game, misreads. Obviously the pick that he threw is probably his worst play as a pro. That's up there. And then the other pick he had, that just sounded like, in my opinion, he made it sound like he was fooled by the coverage. And I watched it live and I noticed it. Tank motioned across the field and the defender followed him. So more often than not, when the defender follows the motion guy, that automatically indicates man. So my suspicion was he saw that, he thought man, but then the corner played in cover 2, but played off. So he was sitting outside leverage right where the out route was, and the receiver ran right into where he wanted to go, and it was underthrown on top of that. So that was a mistake. But my point is that the way the offense is operated between play calling, offensive line, poor play, and both run and pass protection, it has basically made it to where the margin for error for CJ Stroud is like razor thin. So, for him to make mistakes here and there, he still doesn't have a high interception total or miss guys or miss throws. Obviously we want him to be playing at an elite level and have as very little errors as possible, but the margin for error is so slim. So when he does make a mistake, it's like game-losing mistakes. Like the one, the interception in the end zone, that was the game right there. And I get the arguments, like blame it on that play. Like, yeah, you can't really argue that, So, that play right there is a 14-point swing. I don't know if they end up scoring or not, but 7 points at least. So it goes from it's a 10-point game to a potentially a 17-point game. Worst case, you don't throw it incomplete, get a field goal. So from a 10 to a 13 to 17-point game. And then, in my opinion, that's where the game was lost because that allowed the Lions to stick to their offense, the run game. We had shut down their run the whole time. It was just starting to get going. But that was my recipe to beating the Lions. They're a run team. If you get out in front of them, get them in, stop the run, get them into known passing downs, then you can expose them, which you did. But we had that chance to get the kill shot, and we didn't. We really put them behind the 8 ball and force them to pass into more known passing downs. It would have just snowballed. But, we were that close to really blowing it open, and then all of a sudden it became a tight game. So NFL games can be crazy, man. Mr. C. Goff on IG says CJ needs to start controlling the line of scrimmage. Call your audibles. I know you can see what the defense is doing. Also, stop holding the ball so long. So to his point, Chris Sims pointed this out, and it's evident too. In the Shanahan scheme, more often than not, the center is the one making the pass protection calls, not the quarterback, whereas most offenses, the quarterback is. The Shanahan scheme is like meant to like protect the quarterback and make it as simple as possible for them. There's pros and cons to that. The con in our instance is CJ's not making the calls, so he's trusting the O-line, one, to make the right call, and two, he doesn't really know exactly, it wouldn't be the same as him making the call where he gets to point it out. So he already knows, okay, this guy's here. I need to look out for that. Now it's just they get it blocked up. But I think he's doing pretty good at making audibles. I think he's pretty good at reading the defense. I don't know if we can switch from that philosophy or scheme as far as going from your quarterback, your center making the protection calls to your quarterback. I don't know how in-depth that would be to do mid-season or not. I do suspect that pass protection will continue to get better. In a weird way, it was better against the Lions, even though you look at all the stats and we gave up X amount of pressures and the rate and all that stuff and sacks. But it definitely was better. CJ had more time than what he's had before. And the problem was the bar is so dang low. So we saw terrible pass pro for the past 3-4 weeks. And then now we see, slightly less bad, and all of a sudden it looks amazing. But I think it's going to continue to go up. That wasn't a great pass rush of a D line, but they got some good guys. They were good run stoppers for sure. But that was Patterson's first game at center since last year, so he's definitely a better communicator from what we saw last year, and from what we're hearing from D'Amico is basically saying that's why they did that. It sounded like Juice Scruggs was having trouble communicating at center, so now you put someone back in who's experienced and has done it. And that was his first game, so you would only suspect that communication continues to get better and better. And then now you got Juice Scruggs at left guard. He seemed to play okay, so hopefully he gets more and more comfortable there. And, really my biggest concern on the O-line right now is Shaq Mason. He's probably our worst O-lineman right now that with this new shuffle. I would have the least confidence in him. He had a bad game last game. And it's just crazy because he was like the old reliable vet, like, right guard, we're good, don't even worry about it. Now it's like, dang, bro, like Kenyon Green at left guard was atrocious, and you're also atrocious, and then center was kind of up and down. So there's definitely, in my opinion, if things don't continue to get better and we have issues at O-line and we start losing, there's still plenty of options. I believe Caserio said this today. I heard it on the car on the radio, but I can't wait to clip it. But I was encouraged to hear this basically about the signing of Cam Irvin and then a signing, I believe, the Patriots tackle/guard. He basically said, like, we have options at interior. So that makes me feel good in the sense that if whoever it may be, left guard, right guard, if they continue to struggle, that they're willing to try any and everyone at that position, which is what we should do, because the way it's been is like, how much worse can you get by taking a quote-unquote risk to put another player out there? Marcus says, open the playbook up and let CJ ball out. I think the playbook will naturally open up, or feel like it looks like it opens up with Nico back for sure. And then that's the issue too, is the scheme. I feel like it doesn't fit our personnel, but it, and like I hear a lot of the fire Slowick stuff, and I was frustrated and like thinking we need to change. I think at this point, a firing of Slowick isn't going to do any good unless things continue to get worse. I mean, if we don't win much versus the Cowboys, now we're looking at, okay, and if this trend of like second half struggles continues, but I would blame him more so for just his overall coaching. Like, he's responsible for the offense. There's issues up and down the offense across the board. I would chalk it up to he's not doing a good job at practice, implementing his scheme and his techniques, all the way down to the position coaches. And, like I said, it's not necessarily the play calling, like the types of plays, although there are some that are bad. Most of the designs are good. It's like the timing of when he'll run certain plays. And I know we can point back and say, well, yeah, they got to execute, which is what the coaches will say. But okay, well, then that falls on the OC too. So I think he can improve. I think the offense can improve, but I don't see the alternative to firing him being a better solution now. Like I mentioned earlier, D'Amico said these other faces are already involved in the play calling process. So like it may not be too different of a product or result. Also, what is their experience? I know Bobby's only a year and a half experience, but who knows? Gerard could be way better, but it would be a risk for sure. So it would have to be a very desperate time if we went that route. Marcus says, "Let CJ be CJ," like at Ohio State. So yeah, that's I agree, but I think it's too late to do that. I would love to see the whole scheme be changed next year to get. And the problem is, in my opinion, our personnel does not match the personnel we need to run this Shanahan offense. Dang near none of the linemen fit the mold of like the undersized, agile, mobile linemen who are smart and can get out in space and do this zone blocking. We have like the bigger bruiser, mauler guys that are more of a gap scheme and not a slide protection, which is like basically zone blocking for pass. They're more man-to-man, block the guy in front of you type linemen. Our quarterback, CJ, is not this Shanahan scheme quarterback. Although he had success last year, he's better in a more spread out offense. I know it's the NFL and he can't just go 5 wide, but he needs to air it out. He's a gunslinger. He needs to be able to be in shotgun, make checks at the line of scrimmage, make audibles, hit his receivers. It's evident. I mean, like the run game's terrible the way it is. So I would love to see a change in the scheme. But I just don't think it's good to do it right now. Unfortunately, we're kind of stuck with what we got. Try to make it work. We'll see what happens. Dom says, "I'm being real. I was probably looking at this team to heal all the pain of the Astros getting bumped early." Yeah, I was too. That was a revenge game for me against the Lions to avenge our loss to the Tigers in the playoffs, and that did not happen. Inferranami on IG says, "We wearing all blue in Dallas. Should we wear blue though? Because they're blue too. We should wear red so it sticks out. But I'll be there if you're there. Hit me up." A boy, Delfonte Diamond. Shout out Delfonte. He's one of the best receiver trainers out there. He said, "You heard it here first. Watch what's next," with the shush emoji. I don't know if that means a shakeup or a firing, or if there's a bounce back. I definitely think there's a bounce back in store. I think the Texans are fine going forward. It just sucks right now. It's a growing pain. It's tough right now. It's we're frustrated as we should be. Our expectations are sky high as they should be with the offseason we had coming off the year of last year. But we're at the same place we were last year. Record-wise, offense is worse than what it was last year. But our schedule ahead, I think we can finish out 6-1. And I think we can beat the Ravens at home, which would show, hey, we are a contender. I think the O-line will continue to improve. I'm optimistic it will. But for me, I'm with everybody. My biggest thing is like I don't want to be the same, above average team where you win one home playoff game and lose in the next round. Like we need to win that divisional game and make an AFC Championship appearance for me to be happy. It doesn't look great at the moment, but I'm optimistic things can change and we can start to hit our stride there. So it was frustrating too, like losing this game the way we did. If you won it, you're now 7-3 instead you're 6-4. If you're 7-3, you're in a good position to get that number 2 seed and get some home field, in the playoffs, potentially throughout the playoffs, potentially a number 1 seed or potentially number 2 seed, and hope the number 1 seed loses, which from what we've seen, that's imperative. If we want us to make a deep run, we haven't really shown that we can win a tough game on the road. So that's concerning for sure. That will always be in the back of our mind until that moment comes, I believe. Mr. C. Goff says, once Nico gets back on the field, it's going to open up so much. Yeah, so that's the other part too. Not only is Nico like a security blanket for CJ, he can just look his way, but I mean, now you got this big, deep threat Nico who can run, deep posts, deep curls, deep digs, verticals. That'll stretch the field. He'll get double coverage. Now you got Tank eating, you got Mechie eating. tight end. It should open up the whole offense, the whole playbook. I don't think the plays will change, but the receivers getting open will change, I think. Mr. C. Goff says they should wear the H-Town blue jersey. I agree. That'd be sick. I don't know what the rules are. And then he also says get Mechie the ball more. Yeah, and that's crazy about Mechie is, we were all worried about getting a receiver and like Mechie not looking that good, but it really just comes down to opportunity. I don't know if Mechie has played any differently. I think it's just opportunity, and really it's just a matter of the O-line protecting more than 2 seconds for us to throw the ball to him because he was getting open against the Jets. And then Marcus says after this season, fire Bobby. So yeah, I mean that's something I would definitely take a hard look at. Like I said, it's tough to do it now unless we start to lose more games we shouldn't and things don't marginally improve. Then maybe you can look at it this year. It would have to get really bad, in my opinion, but. It's the outlook for him is definitely not good at the moment. And then we'll see. Ferdy says, is Nico playing this weekend? I don't think it's been confirmed, but they made it sound like he is. He's supposed to practice tomorrow this week. RJ Ford says, we are not beating the Ravens. We couldn't even beat the Jets. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I still stand by that Jets loss was tough, but I can't believe the Jets went and got blown out by the Cardinals, but I don't think the Ravens are as good as we think they are. Like I don't know if y'all watched them play, but like their pass defense is the worst in the league, and their pass rush isn't great. So I mean, if we can get minimal protection, we can score some points on them. I mean, obviously right now it doesn't look like that, but I think by the time we play them, we can. And then also, they're by far the best offense, but our defense at home is elite, and we've been missing pieces all year, and we're still up there like that. Let's see what else we got in IG. The anxiety doctor says, is Nico playing against Cowboys? Yeah, it's not confirmed, but it sounds like it's pretty likely. She also says, I think we all agree with that. And then Marcus says, if Nico don't play, then what are we doing? Nico definitely should be playing one tonight. Yeah. I kind of like the conservative approach for D'Amico as far as injuries. But this one stings to like hear the report about how he was ready to play and he didn't, and then you see us lose the way we did. It's like, man, if we had him, wouldn't have been a question. They're wearing all Navy, says Prophet. But yeah, this game here, let's kind of just go over it real quick and kind of through the box score. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough loss, man. But if you look at it in hindsight, it shows that we can hang. I mean, the Lions are one of, if not the best team in the league. And we went toe-to-toe with them, had them on the ropes. But my assessment is we're a young team, players and coaches, still learning how to put opponents away. We play with our food too much. We like to be stressing, I think I'm just keep waiting for this team to get over that hump to like really take that next step. I think we're really close. We're missing some critical pieces in this game. Nico and Will, I know they're missing guys too, but I think those guys make a huge difference. The anxiety doctor on IG says, I think I need to offer some free performance anxiety session for the entire team. I agree. We're all stressed. For our whole fan base, we're all stressing. We need some stress relief from you. That would be awesome. We should do some kind of collab and set something up. That'd be pretty cool. RJ Ford on IG, we have a good team. Protect CJ. Give him the time and opportunity. We can't just rely on Nico. What happens once they have? I mean, I don't know if there's like figuring out they can double him and then now other guys can eat. So yeah, I agree that you need to kind of spread it around. But RJ Ford says we need to fix our second half issues for sure. That's like the biggest priority right now. And then he also says, been stressing since 2002. That's big facts. That's why it's so bad too, is like, as like a whole from like a Houston football city, like we just haven't like taken that next step. We haven't been to an AFC championship game. Yeah. But yeah, anxiety doctor, shoot me a DM. Let's try to think of something creative. But for the game, I mean, the box score, like I had mentioned in the beginning, 5 picks for Goff. You dive into it. On the surface, 5 picks, you should win no matter what. You look at it, only 2 of them we get the ball and they're into the field, and we scored a touchdown and a field goal. And I'll go through the plays that like and this is revisionist history, and it's like loser talk, whatever. But I still do this. I like to go through and say, hey, if one of these 6 plays goes our way, we win. So after that second pick, we had that Mixon screen down to the 2. The very next play is a holding on Scruggs. That's a BS hold, pushes us back 10 yards, and we settle for a field goal when we likely could have got a touchdown. That's 4 points right there. You have both field goals by their kicker going in by inches. That's 6 points. You had the Kamari Lassiter interception, which was initially ruled a touchback in the end zone. They reviewed it, I guess, and I believe from what I heard was they said that his knee went down at the 1, forward progress stopped back, and they went back in the end zone, then touched. So they put the ball at the 1. So that basically gave them 7 points because our drive then was a 3-and-out and a punt to midfield, and they scored. So that's 10 points. The other 2 field goals, that's 6 points. So, I mean, there's plays like that throughout the game and that you can add up, and then you can say the PI at the end of the game. I know it's like kind of loser talk to say that. We shouldn't have been in that situation. But if you still look at that, one of those 5-6 plays goes the other way, it's a different result. So it is good to see that. I'm still optimistic, but in the game, Stroud didn't play a great game. He was 19 of 33 for 232, 4 sacks. Goff, another game where we've made a great accurate passer look bad, 15 of 30. A lot of his incompletions too were just like in the dirt. Like some of his throws were so bad, like I thought he was hurt. Like that, and we still are missing a lot of pieces on defense too. So yeah, and Marcus says with that PI we would have won. So yeah, I mean, you do have to remember these things too. And what's funny to me is if we barely lose this game, so we go from contenders to pretenders. We go from being like a top 5 team to like number 13 or 15 or whatever in most people's eyes. So like it's funny how things change in that regard. And on the flip side too, the Lions win and then it's, oh yeah, Goff's not that bad. Like those picks weren't his fault. If they lose, they're thinking Jared Goff sucks. We can't win with him. He threw 5 picks. It's just funny how things just flip based off of who wins on these little things that happen. So it's just good to remember that stuff. OFT, Neptune, Stressan. Yeah, we're definitely stressing and blessing at all times simultaneously. It's an emotional roller coaster 24/7 being a Texans fan. Lance Shepard, that's my guy. Texans on 3. Shout out Lance. #1 Texans content creator. What's good, Stressan? So I appreciate you, my guy. Just kind of second guessing, and we're stressing and blessing right now. Marcus says CJ been overthinking stuff more this season than last year. Yeah, he's definitely had his struggles, and it's all encompassing. I'm not making excuses for him, but a lot of it is the play of the offensive line. I'm just worried that if we don't get it fixed soon, that he can be quote unquote not broke, but I mean you can tell it's affecting him for sure. But yeah, and like another thing in the game I mentioned earlier, that CJ pick was bad because of the score. We would have basically put the game away. The Lions would have been forced to stop running the ball. They were allowed to continue to run the ball. They had like 20-something yards at halftime. So that means they had 80 plus in the second half. So I mean, we had the chance to put the game away to get them to abandon their run game, and we didn't. They got to use the run game, and they beat us with the run game. And Ben Johnson's a great OC. Joe Mixon probably had his worst game as a Texan, which is unfortunate. The same week he gets named a captain. 25 carries for 46 yards, no good. The blocking wasn't great, but he also didn't break tackles like he normally does. He was getting tackled by the first tackler pretty much every time, a lot of time in the backfield as well. So just wasn't a good performance from the O-line. So that's where, like with Slowick, I would like to see some adjustments. If you see the run game isn't working after a certain amount of time and the pass game is, just change the calls. I mean, you got to adapt. I think that's all our big gripe. Laporta killed us. He only had 3 receptions, but they were all big receptions. Amon-Ra, which is crazy, had 6 for 60. It felt like he had nothing a majority of the game. For him to still finish with that and a touchdown is crazy. Schultz, had a couple big catches, that 32-yarder. Mixon had that big screen. It was nice to see a running back screen work for once. Even that play, too, the running back screen of Mixon, like, it's funny how, like, little things matter. Like, if he could have just found a way to get in the end zone, like if he could have like moved this way or that way, probably could have gotten the end zone. Instead, he gets tackled to 2 and we get a field goal. Just little stuff like that throughout the game. Down here, you see the fumble. The Titus Howard play was crazy. I think I'm convinced that Titus Howard may be like a double agent for like the Chiefs or the Colts or somebody, and he's here to sabotage this team. That's 2 straight weeks that he's had a strip sack of C.J. Stroud. The one against the Jets really wasn't his fault. C.J. ran into him, but, he was pressured because Kenyon Green got beat, and then he bumped into Titus. But this last one was crazy. It's just like, what do you – like – I will say, too, though, this is another thing about the center play. Patterson still getting his feet wet. Both Titus and Laramie got beat because the snap count was early, so they were still in their stance, which caused the whole debacle. But then Titus – Andre Ware on the call on the game was visibly frustrated or audibly frustrated with Titus not only getting beat, but his like lack of effort. A lot of our linemen seem to do that. Like once they get beat, they just quit. Like you can still pursue the defender and find work. And then he just kind of stood there, got in the way. CJ runs into him. Then he tries to grab him and grabs the ball. It's like, that was like comically bad, man. I mean, that's when you just knew like, all right, we're not going to win this game. Like they're doing shit like this. Like this is not going to go our way. Anxiety Doctor on IG says, once stress and doubt gets to you, that's it to affect your performance. Yeah, I guess that's all it'll take. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a very mental game for sure. Confidence, you get that stuff shaken. So, I mean, that could be said for like within the game as a team. The Texans were dominating, let them back into the game. Their mindset's screwed. Or if you're CJ and you're getting rattled as a quarterback, it's going to affect your mindset. Marcus says, who's stopping our defense, bro? Nobody. I've been high on them. I've been saying they're a Super Bowl caliber defense all year. Top 5 for sure. Top 3, I think, potentially. And we're still not even 100% healthy. So the defense, we got the defense. We just need offense to get to where we expect them to be, and we'll be good. Lance says that CJ pick out of halftime killed everything. Yeah, that was crazy too, because it was like the very first play and it like took the air out of the building. And then, but we got the ball back too, though, with the pick and caught the bad break with the freaking non-touchback on the 1 yard line. That play was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, and on that pick out of halftime, my opinion was he just got fooled. The Howard play was so crazy. Oh my God, dude. I still can't stop laughing about it. Brandon says, we would be healthy if Ward stopped hitting people. Facts. Yeah, Titus and Jimmy both hitting their own teammates, man. It's crazy. Marcus says, one, stopping our defense, bro. Just think about Autry, Edwards, Harris, Anderson, Hunter, Toa, DY. Yeah, I mean, once we're fully healthy, bro. And the Lassiter injury in that game, too, was huge, too, because one reason why D'Amico Ryans is able to be so aggressive and make these quarterbacks look bad with blitzes and man coverages. Number 1, Derek Stingley can lock down. Number 2, Kamari Lassiter can also lock down. But once Kamari got hurt, now you had D'Angelo Ross, I believe, who's been on and off the practice squad or off the team, come in, and that's a pretty big I think it was Kadar Holman, I'm sorry. That's a pretty big drop-off from Kamari to that. So our cornerback depth was thin. Jeff Okudah had practiced this week. I think that was an underrated missing piece there. Because if you would have had him there, for one, he could have subbed in dime packages at corner and allowed Lassiter to go in the slot to cover Amon-Ra. And then 2, once Lassiter was hurt, he could have stepped in. We could have, kept the same style of defense more than likely. So yeah, health overall, it's every team has them, but you just point these things out. They have ripple effects when players get hurt for sure. Joel Flores says, thing I don't like is D'Amico rotating safeties and he's not putting Bullock. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, even if you may trust like an Eric Murray more and he's the veteran who might know the coverage or whatever more, he's biting on stuff. So when Bullock's in there, he's, young and aggressive, may make mistakes as far as, blown coverages or being aggressive. But at the very least, he has the elite cover ability and speed to recover and ball skills to when he is on the field in the right spot, he will make a game-changing play. So I hope and suspect we see more of Kalen because, yeah, I mean, Murray is a good backup rotational safety, but, like, if we're putting him as, like, the starting single high or two high safety, it's like you got Kalen right there. It's like, come on, man. And he's got 4 picks, bro. I think he's the leading rookie in interceptions, and then Kamari's the number 2 with 3. I mean, we got 2 ball hawks that we got in the mid to late round. So Chris on IG says, I'm going to the game this Monday. Me too, bro. I'll be there. He asked if we should fire or keep Bobby. Yeah, I think we should keep him. You know, it's not going to do us any good, in my opinion, to fire him. I had mentioned it a minute ago, but basically from what D'Amico was saying today, you know, everyone that's on the staff is already involved in game plan and play calling to an extent, including himself. Maybe true, maybe not. But, you know, it's going to be more of the same, in my opinion. So it's just a tough spot to be in. You got to ride it out and hope Nico fixes it and O-line improves is what I think would be the best approach. Lance says, yeah, Bullock's ball skills are crazy. Pause. Yeah. Man, I mean, he's Kalen Ballhawk for a reason, dude. I love that. I love that D'Amico found someone that had a raw talent that he thought he could do something with, and I think we're only, you know, scratching the surface as to what he can and will be. I think he's going to be an awesome player for many years. Shout out Patrick Storm on IG, blessing my guy. I'm sure most of y'all know Pat. Shout out Pat. If y'all don't know Pat, follow him. He's the OG with the Texans Twitter. He's been doing this for a while. Appreciate you, Pat. Chris on IG says, do you think Nico will play? Yeah, I think he will. You know, the report came out that he was ready to play and didn't. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it sounds like that's the case. But then, you know, D'Amico was confident saying he'll practice Wednesday. So if he gets a full week of practice, or Thursday, then there's no reason to believe he shouldn't play. And that'll be an absolute game changer. And Brandon says Kalen would have kept up with the Porta. Facts. I agree, man. I agree. Facts. There were some plays that Murray got beat on. Lance says keep Bobby. It's too deep in the season to fire him. I agree, man. It's tough. I mean, the only way is if we lose like to the Cowboys and then the Titans or some crazy thing, then yeah, maybe that's the case. Marlon's Room, appreciate the follow, bro. On IG, Carson McDonald, good to see Mechie get his confidence back. Think he solidified himself as a wide receiver too after that game. I agree, man. Like the thing for me is like we've seen it and we all saw it in training camp and preseason. Like it's been there. It's just funny how like the NFL works sometimes. It's like it really does come down to opportunity, especially at the skill position. Like a lot of the amount of talent at the like wide receiver position in the NFL is insane. Like guys off the street could come in and show you something, but I'm super happy that he had the chance to showcase what he's got. Yeah, let's just buzz through the PFF real quick. Again, we do know that this is just, you know, a benchmark to look at, and we kind of see what we think we agree with and what we don't. More often than not, they're pretty close to accurate, so let's keep that in mind. King Chris asked on IG, will Lassiter play? I have no idea. Had a concussion, so I know it's at least 1 week. I think it might be kind of rare to come back after 1 week, so I hope so. You know, but if there is one game to miss, you know, against freaking Cooper Rush and or Trey Lance, might not be the worst one to miss. D Garza at IG, is Collins going to be able? People keep asking. Nico's going to play. They say he's going to practice tomorrow, so he'll play. Joel Flores, I like the mix and rushing TD with the motion and good block. Yeah, so especially in the first half, play designs and calls were great. That play was unique and it worked. I liked it too. I agree 100%. Brandon says, is the clip of Danielle Hunter jumping over the Lion blocker still up? I don't know if it's on mine. I would check out Jeremy Branham, the gentleman from ESPN 975, who I do the Killer Bee. He's part of the Killer Bees, him and Joel Blank. I do a Blessing or Stressan segment with them weekly. He does a great job on Tuesdays where he posts a lot of the All-22 clips. He's probably got it on his. But yeah, so I mean, the PFF grades, right off the rip, the top one, this is a surprise to me. Dalton Schultz, with a very high grade. Run blocking, not great, but overall great. He still seems to be like, and I will say this too on that play, the last third down play where I should show the clips. I got to start showing clips on here. The last third down play where, let me see if I can find it on my Twitter. My tweet's so damn much, it'll take me an hour to find it. Anyways, but yeah, the last third down play where there was the pass interference that was not called. CJ Stroud, Dalton was in the slot and ran basically an option. He went out wide and then ran an option route where he whipped back out to the sideline. And that's where CJ wanted to go the entire time. He was setting him up. He was looking straight and then went to go throw outside, and Dalton slipped. And it would have been a wide open first down. So instead, CJ comes back and has to hurry and just fires it in over the middle to a contested catch to, I believe, Hutch. So that was tough. But Schultz, man, I mean, continues. This is one of his better games, obviously, and he did look better, but he still just seems to be off this year. I don't know what it is, man. It's crazy. Anxiety Doctor on IG says, calm, confidence, connection with Collins. Wishing this for CJ, sending him good energy. Oh, you know they got it. I mean, Nico's a beast. They'll be fine. Mechie had a great game. Tunsil graded good. Howard graded good. And so I mentioned that play where they both got beat and that CJ fumbled or Titus tackled him. That was because of the center. It was a late snap. But this is the point I'd like to make too, is the interior O-line has been so bad all year that it makes it unacceptable for us to have any mistakes on the outside. So now when the interior is messing up the entire game, if Titus and or Laramie mess up once or twice, now it's like, oh, you too? Where normally if like everyone was like doing a decent enough job, you know, one player messing up here and there wouldn't be as bad. And it's the same, in my opinion, as CJ Stroud with the offense as a whole doing bad. Now he can't make any mistakes. So it's like everything's so bad across the board now when certain guys have their one or two mistakes, they get magnified. Like we just have no margin for error. So I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, and they've played good. It's really just the interior. Juice Scruggs had a pretty good game at left guard, so that's encouraging. I think that checks out from what I saw on the tape. Tank Dell had an average game, according to PFF. Blake Fisher, limited snaps. He only played 2 snaps, so we can't really look at that. J.J. Taylor played 1 snap. Shaq Mason, not great. He's been the weakest link, in my opinion, on the O-line, which is crazy. He's been like the old reliable vet. So, I mean, we got to figure that out, man. That's crazy. Jarrett Patterson didn't play that great, so hopefully, you know, first game at center, hopefully that's on the up and up. Stroud, the grade checks out. He did not play good. You know, the 2 big mistakes, but I think he was missing some reads and throws as well. And I want to point this out too. Like, I don't know if y'all agree, but at least in this game and in the Jets game, and I don't know if it's because he's scrambling so much and so often, but like it feels like his scrambling and like ability to like juke and be elusive is nowhere near as what it was the beginning of the year and last year. Like there was a couple times in the game against the Lions where like he could have easily juked a guy and like just looked slow and like spun into him. And if you watch a lot of these games like throughout the NFL weekend, you know, the value of a quarterback being able to juke a defender can go from a 10 to 15-yard sack to like a 70-yard touchdown, like, or a 40, 50-yard gain. So like there's a lot of value in a quarterback who's elusive, like Mahomes or Lamar. If they can make a defender miss, you go from a catastrophic play for the offense to a catastrophic play to the defense. And I feel like lately for us, it's been a catastrophic play for the offense. Like we haven't been able to shake free on some of those. And obviously you don't want to rely on that as your sole offense, but I feel like it's regressed in a sense. I don't know if that's just people will figure out his moves or he's just been sluggish lately or it's just bad luck, but I hope that improves in his game too. Obviously I don't want him to be scrambling every play, but when he does, I would like for him to make guys miss more and execute that better. And obviously Nico will help him. But like that first initial part, like the Titus play too was what was frustrating with the Titus fumble was CJ was spinning out of that. He was about to spin out to the right and have the whole side of the field open. That was about to be a massive play, but then Titus just standing there and hits him. So, I mean, it's just tough, man. Joel says he misses Brevin. I agree. It's not being talked about enough. I think we had big plans for him. Our tight ends production has not been what it needs to be, especially in this offense. We miss him a lot. Brandon says John Mechie could take over Diggs' spot next year. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying the whole time. Like, you got Diggs on a 1-year deal. Diggs is the mentor, can teach him, how to be a precise slot receiver. That's been my plan, and now we'll get a good glimpse of if that's the case. I mean, we got these next 7 games to see what Mechie can do at slot. Shep says it's crazy because I was thinking our O-line was home, be top 10. I think he's trying to say CJ probably banged up. That shit, I look like that. Yeah, I don't know if you're saying like the O-line, like compared from last year to this year, like how good the O-line was last year with like backups. Like we all thought like, oh, they're going to be 10x better, and it's 10x worse. It's crazy. Would save us a ton of cap. Yeah, if we took Mechie over Diggs, yeah, I mean, I assume that's the plan. Marcus says we can't overlook any team in the NFL. We should still beat them. Facts, I agree. R. Cortez on IG, CJ is overthinking situations. Why, I don't know. He's too good not to be confident. It could be just because the struggles as a whole, like he's feeling like he has to be Superman. So it's, it's just one of those things where things start to snowball, I guess. But we'll check out the defensive grades, and we'll get into Dallas real quick. Stingley had a great game. Stingley's had a good stretch the past 4 or 5 weeks. I posted that clip of D'Amico bragging about Derek Stingley talking to Tony Dungy about how Stingley has the best hands on the team and he might want to play him at receiver. And then 24 hours later, Stingley drops a pick. But nah, he's still balling. He's still got good hands too. I mean, it happens. Kalen Ballhawk balled out. Like we said earlier, he needs more snaps. His coverage grade is great. He needs to get his snaps over Murray. Hunter balled out again. He's been great. Petrie balled out. I said at the beginning of the year, I think he's an all-pro nickel corner. It's really that star role, but I mean, he's gotten beat on a couple plays, but he really hasn't gotten burnt on a lot. Like you would think that he would be getting burnt 3 and 4 times a game, but it's really only happened like 3 or 4 times in the year. They've been big plays, but I mean, I'll take the give and take of elite run defender causing havoc in the short passing game. He's caused at least 2 interceptions this year and had one himself. He's playing lights out. He's a freaking psycho, dude. Jimmy Ward graded pretty good. I guess that checks out. Devin White played pretty good. Checks out. Tommy Tuagia, I can't pronounce his name. He was, activated and played for us late in the week and stepped in pretty good. I can't believe this Lassiter grade. I guess his coverage was 78, but he was bad in run defense is why his grade overall was bad. Aziz was great in run defense, but bad in coverage. So that kind of checks out. Jerry Hughes, 7 snaps. The Nico Autry grade seems lower than what it should have been. Henry had a bad game. Whoa, Henry T had a bad game. That's crazy. Across the board. That's not encouraging to see. Where's Christian Harris at? Foley had a bad game. That's not good to see. Tim Settle had a bad game. Man, that's tough. I mean, this is, again, PFF. I'm, assuming they're correct. But, yeah, let's take a quick break, and then just like 20 seconds, I'll show you a little preview of my side on here, and then we'll get into Dallas.
Dominican track.
All right. Yeah, so the main thing I want to point out with Dallas, I mean, they're a bad team. They were a bad team with Dak. They're an even worse team without Dak. But then the one big thing, too, is they are historically bad at home right now. So given the game, the loss of the Lions, how gut wrenching and heartbreaking it was, you couldn't ask for a better get right, bounce back, get your confidence back, or even from a fan's perspective, to make you feel good. I mean, at the end of the day, Dallas is our rivals. Like, I know we play them once every 4 years, but Houston versus Dallas is a real thing. My wife is a Cowboys fan. I will be going to the game with her and one of her best friends who's also a Cowboys fan, and her father, my father-in-law, who's also a Cowboys fan. And I'll be meeting some friends there that are also Texans fans. But my father-in-law and I have kind of like talked crap all year, but it's kind of been one-sided as of late, so I've had to let up on them. And it's Houston versus Dallas. Like, some of us take it super serious and are like, F Dallas. I kind of like in the middle, or like I get into it, but like it's not like, I don't like hate on people, but I mean, we know how toxic it can get on certain sides. But like, how much better of an opportunity for us to feel better as a fan base, even though they suck. Like, it's going to make us feel so much better to beat the shit out of the Cowboys in their stadium on Monday night. Like, how good would that be? That would rectify all that shit, like that Lions stuff. That'll make that feel so much better. We'll be 7-4, and I'm super confident and optimistic. I'll go through right here. At home this year, the Cowboys lost 44-19 to the Saints, who had their coach fired 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, that's with Dak. That's bad. The next week to Baltimore, they lost 28-25. But if you watch this game, the score was actually 28-9 in the fourth quarter, and they let them get a bunch of garbage touchdowns, several onside kicks, etc. That game was a blowout. The next home game against the Lions, the same Lions that we coulda, woulda, shoulda beat, they lost 47-9 at home in that game. That's terrible. And then their most recent home game was against Philadelphia, who's a good team, probably about our level, I would say, honestly. Maybe at the moment, maybe slightly better, but 34-6. And that was a game the Eagles missed opportunities. The Cowboys did too, but like, they weren't even like trying to blow the doors off the Cowboys. They were just ho-hum, especially in the second half. So, we got Cooper Rush, who will open the box score on Cooper Rush. A lot of fans were like, oh, yeah, Dak sucks. We'll take Cooper Rush. He'll play better than Dak. Hell no. I mean, Dak is definitely overrated, not the best quarterback in the league like his contract says. But Cooper Rush was 13 for 23 for 45 yards against an Eagles defense that is not a world beater. And they even put Trey Lance in. So, and then Rico Dowdle is their lead running back. I mean, he's decent, but I mean, come on, bro. This is shaping up to be a really good matchup for us, a really good get-right game. We'll go over to next-gen stats and let's check out some stats on this. Team offense season leaders. R. Cortez on IG says, I'll be at the game. LFG Texans, me too, bro. I'll be at the Texas Live bar pre-gaming if anybody's there. If y'all want to meet up, we'll grab a drink, celebrate the game coming up. Let's see over here on this side. We got Brandon said, very disappointing considering we thought this would be a top 3 offense. What's crazy too is all of us that have been following this team like we have, especially in training camp, we saw all throughout training camp, defense was just dominating the offense. And, we chalked it up to typical training camp to where the defense knows the offense's plays and they're running a basic scheme. But like what we saw in training camp is what we're seeing now. Elite defense, mediocre offense. So, I mean, it's turned out exactly it's how it showed early in the year. It's scariest passing offense in the league. Brandon says, and being the only AFC South team to win that week means a lot too. Yeah, that would have been nice to win. We would have gotten some real separation. And Heluda says, yo, do you do with ESPN now? Yeah, so I've been with them for like a couple months. I do a weekly segment on ESPN 975. It's a Blessing or Stressan segment with the Killer Bees. Jeremy Branham and Joel Blank, two awesome guys. And yeah, it's like a 15 to 30-minute segment. I was able to go a little longer today because Jeremy was off site, so I got to like just do normal radio for the first time and just kind of shoot the crap with Joel, which I loved, and I would love to continue to do more of that. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I never thought I would even be doing this when I started doing this, or even radio, but it's just been like a natural progression. Like I just love the Texans, so it's just like a natural fit. Haluda said, I really don't care about the Cowboys, Jaguars, and Titans. All those games should be won. Facts. So, yeah, I mean, all we care about is taking care of business. It'll make us feel better. But still, in the meantime, in the back of our heads, we want to see us win one of two against the Chiefs and Ravens. And then even then, going into playoffs, we're still going to have that concern. Like, are we legit? Can we, make it to the AFC Championship? So, I mean, I agree, but it still has to be done. I want to see them beat a real contender. Yep, that's what we just said. We agree. Brandon. And in practice, that was with Nico and Diggs out there too. Yeah. So I think it was a combination of the two in training camp. The defense was elite. We're not surprised by that. And the offense wasn't as good as we thought. I think it's a combination of the two. I would lean more to the defense being elite. Haluda says, at this point, you're fighting for a second or third seed. Yeah, so I posted something earlier today that was like strength of schedules remaining. And ours is like bottom 5 to 8 in the league. So we got an easy schedule. And then most of the people ahead of us, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Kansas City, most of those teams have tougher schedules remaining ahead of us, especially NFC North, Baltimore, and Pitt. They haven't even played each other yet. They got 2 games. But yeah, so let's look at the stats real quick, just like an overview. Yards per game. Texans are 15th. It just pisses me off. We started out the season pretty good on yards. And without Nico and the struggles we've had with the O-line, it's gone down. We averaged 338 yards per game. The Cowboys are 21st with 315. It's probably a lot worse without Dak now. Pass yards per game, we're 15th, 218. And the Cowboys are going to be high because Dak was slinging it. They're starting to regress. They're 10th with 231. And that's also because they've been behind a lot of games too, I believe. Let's check out a couple other stats up here. Pass yards, rush yards per game. On offense, the Texans, this is bad. We're 18th. The offense just sucks overall. 119 yards per game. And then the Cowboys, our defense is going to absolutely suffocate this team. The Cowboys rushing offense is second worst, 83 yards per game. I mean, you saw what we did to the best rushing offense in the league, second best Lions. Like, we basically bottled that shit up. So, I mean, that's going to be crazy. They're not going to be able to establish the run. We'll look at quarterback pressure percentage. We have the third highest percentage. No surprise there. Let's see what the Cowboys look like. Cowboys pass pro is actually pretty good. So they're 23rd worst. So they'd be like 8th best pass protection. So that'll be a good matchup. Our D-line versus their O-line. Let's go over to defense real quick. Team defensive stats. Yards per game, we are the third best yards per game defense with 288. And then we have the Cowboys, which are 26 with 362. Our defense is way better than theirs. So their offense sucks right now. Their defense sucks. We'll go into the splits of passing and rushing. Let's see what those look like. Pass yards per game. Pass yards per game. Defense-wise, where are the Texans? We're down. What's going on? Am I missing? No, I got it inverted. Okay, I'm about to say, man, we don't give up that many yards. Yeah, that's the Ravens. The Ravens have the worst pass defense in the NFL. Almost 300 yards a game. So we have the fourth best pass yards allowed per game, 174. Compared to the Cowboys, number 17 to 10 yards per game. And then rush yards per game. I need to do it this way. Texans are 11th, allow 113 per game. And then the Cowboys, this is the biggest thing in the whole game for me, is how terrible the Cowboys' rush defense is. They are 31st. So they are terrible on both sides of the ball, running it and stopping the run. That's the game. Stop the run, run the ball. 152, 31st in the league. Let's check out pressure percentage, pressure rate. So this is a concern. I mean, we're going to have to run the ball. This is a concern for me. Texans, obviously, we lead the league in pressure rate with our D-line. They've been phenomenal. The Cowboys are 5th in the league with 39%, and they've been missing DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons for a good majority of the season. Micah Parsons is back. That's a concern for me, is Micah Parsons hurting CJ Stroud. So we need to not be in predictable passing situations, aka 3rd and long. So hopefully the run game just, is working and we can run play action off of it. And then the other part of it too is hopefully I see this game going like the Patriots game. It's not what we want to see, from the sense that we're going to lean on our defense. Their offense is terrible, especially with Cooper Rush and or Trey Lance back there. We're going to be super conservative on offense. We're not going to do anything crazy. Their run defense sucks. We're going to run the ball. We're not going to get sacked. We're not going to turn it over. We're going to let defense get us short fields and turnovers. And then from there, just have easy scoring drives. And that's basically how the Patriots game went. That's how I see it going. And I'll dive in a second into like the scoops or whatever, the little insights. Haluda says, what's your thoughts about D'Amico and how he treats players with injuries? I mean, I'm in favor of it. I know it's like controversial this week because we lost, and if they miss that field goal and we win, and like, oh, that was a great move to save Nico. Like, I don't think you should change your. I mean, if you didn't like it before, that's fine, but like, I don't think you should change your opinion based off the game and how it went. I mean, it definitely sucks, but he's been consistent. It's what he does. I would much rather. I know it sucks, but like, big picture obviously is better than short term, and maybe it might cost us the 2 seed down the road, who knows, but I would like to have Nico Collins in the playoffs and not be hurt. Nico is ready to go and they didn't play him. Yeah, that's what's reported too, and I guess we don't know for sure too, but yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to read that. Alberto says, like you said, bro, just try to get right and get healthy. Plenty of games to hopefully get the offense running at full capacity. Once in the playoffs, everyone is 0-0. All the losses will become irrelevant. Facts. But we'll still have, depending on how the season shakes out, our doubts, which is fine. I mean, maybe we should temper our expectations a little bit, but you're right, though. I mean, we don't want to hear it as fans, but they say it all the time. The coaches, just get in the dance, Like, we want to be like, rolling, getting into the dance and being a top seed. But, what we've seen hasn't shown what we think would allow us to make a run. But I think, hopefully, like you said, just kind of get things rolling, things improve, and now things look better and we're in a good position. Haluda says, we should have won that game either way, but Nico was going to make it easier. Facts. I mean, if Nico plays, if we win that game, like, all the struggles offensively, almost all of them are, like, I hate to admit it, because then it basically, forgives Bobby or excuses him for the offense sucking. But I mean, we did not have Nico and Diggs. As much as it hurts me to say it, like, that has a big factor, not only on Bobby but CJ. Like, these are your 2 guys that you've been throwing to all season. Now they're just gone. But yeah, no doubt Nico makes that game a lot easier. Overshawn hurt. I don't know. Let me pull up the injury report. Let's see, Dallas injury report. I thought I saw that earlier in the week. I might have saw that. I like Overshawn. D'Amico was talking about him on the they don't have a report out yet. D'Amico was talking about Overshawn as somebody that they had looked at and liked as a linebacker. He's a leaner, quicker, faster linebacker that he would fit in our system. So, and I like him too. I've been watching I watch every game, but like, that dude shows up on tape, dude. Haluda, we should blow the cow. Whoa, pause. We should blow the Cowboys? Come on, bro. What are you talking about, dude? I think you even said blow out the Cowboys. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that. we should blow out the Cowboys, but somehow the Texans are going to make it a close game. I really hope that's not the case. I think the Cowboys are that bad that won't be the case. If it does happen, I'll be stressing. Brandon Hallman forgot Toto's PFF rating might be terrible because he had him running route to the end zone, giving up TDs instead of having safeties back there. Yeah. Alberto, ayo, that was a big pause, huh? Haluda, blow the Cowboys. Come on, bro. Yeah, so the Cowboys pressure rate, ours is pretty high too. I'm going to show you on my site again real quick like I normally do, just in case anybody's new. Won't be long. One thing I do ask, if you're looking like for a way to help me, subscribing to my free newsletter at my website, houstonstressans.com. Just right here, subscribe. I do a weekly newsletter. I try to do it at least once a week, if not more. What I really want to start doing is writing more articles. There's just so much between going on the radio, doing these shows, and then content is like 24/7. But I really want to start writing more articles. I have like a lot of like opinions that I feel like would be like interesting, and I can like back up, my thoughts with like clips and evidence. I'll try to get more to that. And then on that note too, so if you want to subscribe, I send out like a newsletter with articles and like videos, some of my stuff, videos of just like, the Texans content, like D'Amico and Casario talking. That would really help me. I appreciate if you do that. I have the articles section, like I mentioned. I have a couple people that contribute. Mr. Optimistic does a weekly Silver Linings article, which I'm going to publish later this week. Here's his one from last week. And then I have another friend that is doing, he'll start to do it periodically. Carlos from Just Fans 22. He wrote a piece on John Mechie. He has a press pass. And so he's able to interview some guys, and he'll be trying to write. He's just a busy guy, but he'll try to write periodically. But if anybody wants to give a crack at it, let me know. I'm more than willing to check it out. But the other thing too on here is the profile. So like at the top right here, I'm logged in, but if I'll show y'all real quick. I'd appreciate if y'all did this too. Like I'm trying to get this rolling. Like I have like a big vision for this, and I think it's like a great potential for fans and content creators, like an ecosystem for us to all coexist. And it won't like replace what we're doing now, whatever app you're on. It could just be in addition to it. But if you click on my site and click login here, you can create a profile, but I'll just log in with mine and show y'all, once you're logged in, you basically have your own profile. You can now start writing articles. I want to have it to where you can have like your own store on here. And then honestly, like at the very least, I think this part is very beneficial to anybody who's like trying to like create content or has links to stuff. I'm sure y'all are aware of Linktree. At the very least, this is a good replacement for Linktree. You can put all your socials right here, and then you can make your bio name whatever you want it to be, and the URL, and then you can just paste that into your bio and say, follow my stuff here. And then, and then another part of this too is you get a profile. This is like my bigger vision that I need to start promoting and get going. I haven't been doing myself, but basically like a Discord, where we can have game day chats, or if there's a hot topic and we want to chat on here. And the chat's pretty cool because you can do all kind of stuff. I guess I'm not in some group or something. You can do all kind of stuff where you can add GIFs and audio from SoundCloud and videos and TikTok. So you can embed stuff in here where it's pretty like clean to how that goes. But obviously the last part about my, I guess I should say the videos, this is probably a pretty good resource too. I get like all the relevant videos from YouTube and embed them in a different playlist. Like here's my videos right here, national media talking about, there's a preview for the Texans, and it's all up to date and relevant. That way you're not having to fish through what videos are good. And these are videos that I watch myself and clip and that I think are relevant that you guys would like. Press conferences on here. It got it by a player. So it's just a cool feature, it's for fans. And then the last part, again, is going to be the store. That's what I got. This shirt right here, the first one. I'm going to see if you can see it. I'll scroll in a little bit. Let me click on this T-shirt. But I'm wearing this one because it's Houston versus Dallas. This is the Will Anderson tee. If they ain't with Houston, F them. It's got my logo in the middle of it. I think that's a cool one. It's good to rep during the Dallas versus Houston. Shout out live like you're dying 34 on IG. He says, what do you think of the Detroit game? Yeah, I mean, walking out of the stadium, I was pissed off as hell, but I had a couple of nights sleep on it, and I'm not as upset about it. I'm more optimistic. I think there is more good than bad, that we showed we can hang with the best teams in the league. So I'm walking away a little bit more optimistic after sleeping on it, honestly. And then let's see. Haluda says, for some reason, I can't type when I'm in your streams. Brandon says, take some spare curtains to the Cowboys game as a troll. That's funny. That whole thing this week is crazy. Like, their franchise is a shit show right now. Haluda, maybe because I'm sleepy. Who knows? Great content, though. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you tuning in. But, yeah, I mean, y'all should check these out. I got the H-Town shirt, some CJ shirts, Houston versus everybody tee. But anyhow, yeah, so let's go back into the Cowboys and finish that up. Let's see. So if we go in the game, we get some insights right here. I haven't even looked at this yet. So points per game, we are at 22.4. They're at 19.7. Our point differential is -2. Cowboys are -82, 29th point differential. Records in close games, we're 5-3, and the Cowboys are 2-3. That's like the most of the relevant stuff. We're both pretty bad penalized teams. Matchup insights, overall passing efficiency. So our passing offense is 17th versus their 28th ranked defense. We have an advantage there. Our rushing efficiency is 26th versus 31st. We have an advantage there. We're better than 26, though, with Mixon in, despite that Lions performance. And then pressure rate, they got a massive advantage there. We're 30th and they're 5th. So we dove through that. That's going to be a tough deal. Hopefully we slow the rush by having a good run game. And then on the flip side, their passing is 27th. Our pass defense is 5th. Most of that's with Dak. So, I mean, we're going to have a massive advantage there. Rushing, they're 30th, and we're 13th. Our defense is going to dominate. They're 10th at pressure rate. We're number 1. This is going to be just like the Patriots game. Defense is just going to suffocate them. We can go through these here real quick. Let's see what this says about CJ. Since coming into the league last season, CJ Stroud has accumulated 2,088 passing yards on intermediate pass attempts between 10 and 19 air yards, third most in the league. Then it says matchup. The Cowboys have allowed the most yards in that area. So that speaks well to the Stroud and Nico connection over the middle of the field on those digs and curls and comebacks, or mostly digs and over routes. Cowboys offense versus Texans defense. Cowboys receivers have had less than a yard of separation from their nearest defender on a league-leading 22% of their passes. They also have had the second fewest average yards of separation. So that's crazy. So basically, in the matchup, the Texans have allowed opposing receivers on average just 3.1 yards, third fewest. So basically, the Cowboys receivers are like the worst at getting separation, and our corners are the best at not giving up separation. So that bodes well for us. Daniil Hunter, he's generated 62 pressures this season, most of the first 10 weeks of a season, the past 7 seasons. That's crazy. Like, people may think that he's not having a big year because the sack numbers aren't there, but he's still having a massive impact. Parsons, he generated 5 pressures on 20 pass rushes in his return from injury, including 2 that came under 2.5 seconds. Despite missing 4 games, he still leads the Cowboys in total pressures. That's crazy. Yeah. So there's not a lot of insights on this. That's good. But yeah, that's all I got, man. I appreciate you fellas tuning in. I'll be writing an article and get a newsletter out this week. But if If y'all ever got any questions or anything, just feel free to hit me up in my DMs on X, Instagram, Twitter, or X, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it may be. But yeah, appreciate you guys. We blessing.